Beauty and the Beast. How does a moment last forever? How does the story never die? The announcement that we were making a live-action version of Beauty and the Beast was met with a lot of excitement and a lot of questions. Who? Well, Emma Watson for starters, if we're lucky enough to get her. When? It's a complicated movie. It'll probably take a couple years to make. Turn out to be 3. Where? Shepperton Studios in London, standing in for MGM circa 1950. How? A combination of old-school practical sets, the MGM idea again, including an entire French village built on a backlot and cutting-edge CGI. But the big question, the one I heard over and over, was very simple. Why? As in, why remake a classic movie that is not only beloved but pretty much perfect as it is? There's only one reason I can think of, and it's that this iconic Alan Menken-Howard Ashman musical still has more to say and more to reveal. Even as an animated film aimed primarily at children, Beauty and the Beast had a darkness and complexity that allowed it to connect to people of all ages. Above all, it had those songs, those astonishingly witty and moving words, but wildly inventive and powerful music. The chance to revisit that score in a live-action cinematic context proved irresistible and more than a little terrifying. As we translated this story into a new medium, our collective approach was not to reinvent as much as reveal. After all, some questions became more present in a three-dimensional world. How did Belle and her father wind up in a town they don't fit into? How did the prince become someone worthy of being cursed? More crucially, what is it about Belle and the Beast that makes them perfect for each other? It was out of these questions that the new songs emerged. Standing tall among the high points of my working life was the first writing session with Alan Menken and Tim Rice, who as lyricist for the Broadway version had his own 20-plus year relationship with this material. We were in Alan's hotel suite in London, the two legends munching on sandwiches while I nervously pitched the idea for Maurice's first song. Soon Alan jumped up and played a melody on the piano, a simple tune that instantly entered your heart. Tim started suggesting what he called dummy lyrics, which already reflected the perceptiveness and grace he would bring to the final words. It was a privileged moment, one I'll never forget. I mentioned MGM before. With our dance rehearsals, singing lessons, costume and prop shops, and massive sets, it did feel as if we had been transported back to the golden age of Hollywood musicals. Nowhere was this more true than in the music department, led by a brilliant producer, Matt Sullivan. Hats off to the thrilling arrangements of Michael Koslaren and Chris Benstead, Sam Davis's dance arrangements, and the magnificent orchestrations of Doug Besterman, Michael Starobin, Danny Trube, and Jonathan Tunick, as conducted by Cos and mixed by Frank Wolf. And a final tip of the hat to Disney wildman Mitchell Lee, who tried to keep us all in line and almost succeeded. As for the score that's been so beautifully captured here, I leave the last word to Sir Tim. As usual, he just says it better. How does a moment last forever when our song lives on? Bill Condon. As I listen to these new recordings of the Beauty and the Beast songs and score, both old and new, I still struggle to grasp the journey we have been through. Howard Ashman and I were still putting the finishing touches on The Little Mermaid when the offer to work on Beauty came. Unbeknownst to me at that time, Howard's remaining days were very limited, and our work on this and on Aladdin became the final creative output for us as a team. I recall a very early group meeting when this was just the germ of an idea, which took place at the animation building at Walt Disney World in Orlando, where we were in a glass-walled room working while lines of people in Mickey Mouse attire filed past. The surreal juxtaposition of being within the magic of the happiest place on earth within the drama that would unfold over the next 18 months will stay with me forever. Howard passed away 6 months before the film's completion, his very last work being our final beauty songs and our work on Aladdin. All of those last songs are infused with the joy and pain of a great artist's brilliant creativity in the face of a clear knowledge of his own impending mortality. When further work was needed on Aladdin, a new precious collaboration began for me. The legendary lyricist Tim Rice stepped in to help complete that score with me, resulting in A Whole New World, a song that ranks at the top of both of our careers. And when Beauty and the Beast was adapted for the Broadway stage, once again Tim came to the rescue to collaborate on all the new material needed to bring the original score to theatrical completion, and the resulting show ran for over 13 years, and it continues to run continuously all over the world to this day. And now this movie adaptation has reunited Tim and me to write 3 more songs to support the wonderful new story concepts that our director, Bill Condon, has contributed. Bill's influence is etched into every measure of the music and lyrics in every track on this album. For me, and I hope for each listener, this new incarnation of Beauty and the Beast preserves what is wonderful in the animated musical and the stage musical and brings it to a new level of beauty and intensity. I feel blessed, and I remain amazed at the staying power of our musical, and the journey continues. Alan Menken. My connection with Beauty and the Beast dates from the theatrical production that opened on Broadway in 1994, directed by Rob Roth. The great lyricist Howard Ashman, who had written the words of the marvelous songs in the Disney animated movie of Beauty, which film won Howard and Alan Menken Academy Awards for songs and score, had died in 1991, and when the decision was taken to transfer the work to stage, I was recruited to work with Alan and to provide the lyrics for the extra numbers needed for Broadway. I had already worked with Alan on the Aladdin movie, again standing in for the late Howard. My working and personal relationships with Alan went well, and I was delighted to be invited to return to Beauty for this new Disney telling of the tale as old as time, under the direction of Bill Condon, a helmer of distinction and charm. Alan and I have written 3 new songs for the picture, Has a Moment Last Forever, Evermore, and Days in the Sun. I am glad to note that much of Howard's great contribution to the Beauty saga has been retained. His influence on the entire project will indeed last forever. Tim Rice.